I have one rule for college recruiting showcases and camps that significantly increases the chances that you get a scholarship from that event or you get a phone call or a text from coaches that were there. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what that rule is and show you how it can maximize your exposure in college recruiting without making you shell out tens of thousands of dollars to go to recruiting events all over the country. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jack Kruger. I run D1 Scholarship. I've been through the recruiting process twice. I earned scholarships to 2 different Division I schools. I've been through the transfer portal. I've played professionally, and I've helped hundreds of families navigate through recruiting. So everything I'm telling you in this video comes from those experiences. So when you hear about showcases and camps in college recruiting, usually parents use them as the primary way that they are putting their kid on the map. You join a travel team or a club team that is well known, where the coach is super connected with college coaches. And the idea is that you are going to go to big tournaments and events where college coaches are going to be there, and hopefully your kid plays well at the exact same time that a college coach shows up to your field, needs your kid's position in grad class, watches your kid absolutely crush it, and then goes, yes, I need that player. The problem is that there are so many things that need to line up in order for that to actually work. The college coach needs to be at that same event that you're there. They need your positions, your kid's position and grad class. Your kid has to perform well, and there are factors outside of your control at those events. Like, what if your kid plays baseball and doesn't get a good pitch to hit all day? What if your kid is a wide receiver and the quarterbacks that are throwing throw terrible passes? There are lots of things that are outside of your control at those events. And so what happens is parents shell out tens of thousands of dollars for these events, thinking that this is how they're going to put their kid on the map in college recruiting, and then they get nothing. And they wonder why, because this is what they've been told to do. Everyone says, yeah, if you want to get recruited, you got to go to all these events. But you also internally know that you're getting tons of these generic invites from schools, and you're like, wait a second. These coaches can't all be interested. And so you know that a lot of players that are there at those events are actually there to fundraise for the school and the program. College coaches are not seriously or legitimately recruiting players at those camps. Now, they do legitimately recruit a few players from those camps, but the majority of athletes that go to those camps, college coaches are not actually interested in. They're just kind of taking your money for their program. They're going to deliver some value. They're going to teach your kids some stuff. They're going to give you a cool experience, but they're not actually interested in having your kid come play for their program. So we talk about the number one rule. Here's what the rule is. It's don't go to an event unless you are already in contact with schools that are going to be there. So you're not using showcases and camps for exposure. You're not saying, college coaches don't know who my kid is, I'm going to go to these events so that hopefully they learn that my kid exists. No, that's not what you do. Instead, you use showcases and camps for evaluation, which means that college coaches learn your kid exists somehow else. You send them an email, you post on social media, your coach has a connection. There's some other way that college coaches learn that your kid exists, and they're simply using those recruiting events to watch your kid and evaluate them and see if they're good enough for their program. And so you use recruiting events not for exposure, but you use them for evaluation. And the funny thing is that a lot of parents logically understand this. They say, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. The problem is that most parents don't know how to generate interest with email or with social media or in any other fashion. And so because they don't know how to do anything, they're like, well, we have to do something. And that's when they go spend a whole bunch of money going to camps hoping that it works out. I don't think hope is a good strategy in college recruiting. In fact, I see it backfire all the time. You need an actionable game plan that's actually going to put your kid in front of college coaches. And so when you're thinking about these recruiting events, if you're like, oh, should I go to this event or should I not? The first question that you should ask is, am I already in contact with schools that are going to be there? Because guess what? If you are, you have a competitive advantage on day 1, hour 1, minute 1 of that event. If there's 100 players at that event and you're already in contact with the school beforehand, when you show up and there's 99 other players there, guess who they're watching? They're watching your kid because they've already seen their video. They've already talked to them. Maybe they've had phone conversations. They know it's worth their time to watch your kid. So the other 99 players that are there, who cares? College coaches aren't actually watching them. And the funny thing is that the other 99 players have no clue that they just walked into a rigged casino. They have no idea that the college coach doesn't actually care about them, that they're watching your kid. And the sad part is that you might be one of the 99 right now. You're showing up to all of these events having no idea that there are players there, a small handful, that are already in communication with those coaches. The coaches don't really care about you. They're watching those players. And so the question is, how do you become those players? And that's where, okay, how do we email college coaches? What should we put in the subject line? What should we put in the email? How should we organize our video? Where should we get the contact information? How many schools should we contact? How about social media? What should we do with our bio? How do we optimize our profile? When should we post to the timeline? When should we DM coaches? What should we send in those DMs? All of those questions are how you're going to generate interest outside of showcases and camps. Showcases and camps should not be your primary method of exposure. There should be some other method that you are generating interest and conversations with college coaches. And then once you have those conversations, then you pick the showcases and camps that you're going to. So if you contact 100 schools and 5 of them get back to you and they say, hey, you know what? I love your video. Looks great. We'd love for you to come to a camp because we want to watch you play. They hop on the phone with you. Those 5 are worth considering because not every camp invite is generic. Not every camp invite is just trying to be a fundraiser. No, it's just convenient for the school. Instead of having to fly across the country to watch your kid play, they have you fly across the country and it's easier for them. So they might still legitimately be interested, but now you have 5 schools that you're like, okay, these are the 5 camps that we should consider going to. Which one should we go to? And then you can decide. But if you go to 3 of those 5, when you step on campus, you have a competitive advantage from the first minute. And the other 99 players that are there have no idea that they walked into a rigged casino. And guess what? The deck is stacked in your favor. But if you're one of the 99, then the deck is not stacked in your favor. And guess what? The house is going to win. When we talk about lottery winners, there's usually a very small portion of people who win big and a lot of people who don't win at all. And college recruiting is the same way. And so when you're thinking about showcases and camps, it should not be for exposure. It should be for evaluation. One other thing that I want to mention about this is that there will be times where you go to an event when you're not in contact with the school. There will be times where that happens. For instance, if it's your kid's top school and they're really interested in going there and you've emailed them and you haven't gotten responses and you've DM'd them and you haven't gotten responses and you've been trying for months to generate interest and exposure from this school and it just hasn't happened, but your kid really wants to go there, and you want to go to the showcase because maybe your kid plays well on the exact day that a college coach is watching and they need his position in grad class or her position in grad class and it works out. If you want to try that, go for it. That's totally fine. My point is that you're not going to be able to do that for 10, 20, 30, 40 schools. It's simply not feasible, nor is it wise or efficient. And so I'm saying, listen, if 90 to 95% of the interest that you're trying to generate doesn't come from showcases and camps, then you can spend 5 to 10% of your energy and time and money on events to try and generate exposure from a small number of schools. So it's not that there's never a time that you go to an event where you're not already in communication with the coach, but those should be targeted, selected events. It's not, this is my general plan in recruiting. No, it's not going to work out well. It should be, this is a very unique circumstance where it seems to make sense. But the rest of the time, you should be trying to generate interest in other manners so that when you step on campus, college coaches already know who your kid is and you have a huge competitive advantage. If you are the parent of a high school athlete and you are struggling through the process and you would like help, you could schedule a call with us below. We could walk you through what we do. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time.